Well, a precious win for Luton, their first in something like 15 games going back to mid-September. Mick Harford gets the priceless winner early in the second half. Kamara's shot is blocked. Dreadful defending by Coventry City, and Harford beats Ogrizovic. The warning signs flashing for Coventry. Now the match down at the Dell. Ian Dowie gets his first home goal since his move from West Ham. There's a lovely subtle touch here from Terry Hurlock. Notts County always, though, likely to get something from this game. There's one of those inspired substitutions. Manager Neil Warnock sends on 19-year-old Steve Slawson. That's his second touch, and that's the equaliser. 1-1 then, but coming up the instant that's put Neil Ruddock in severe disciplinary trouble. Just a minute to go. I believe there's a stamp from a county player that starts off the whole incident. It enrages one or two players, and Ruddock gets involved. Craig Short requires 4 stitches. Ruddock goes for the second time this season. He's also been booked 9 times. He's facing his 4th suspension.
Steve Nicol. Mike Sheeran back there to police him. Houghton. Saunders. Setting himself for a shot. It's there! Tony Coates lost it. And Dean Saunders has found the net again. Went on towards White. He got there this time. Oh, didn't he just? 3 minutes into the second half. It's him again. David White's 3rd goal of the season against Liverpool levels it up. He'd love to be out there in the middle doing something about it. He said this week that he envies Peter Reid for still being a player. There's about 4 years between the two managers. White's in again. He scored again! David White strikes twice in the opening 10 minutes of the second half. Walters again. Headed by Redmond. Steve Nicol almost ghosted in front of him then. Houghton. Mike Marsh. Pull behind Saunders. Nicol! 8 minutes to spare. Steve Nicol with the rescue goal.
Sheffield Wednesday seem to be rarely mentioned in title terms, yet they're still 3rd in Division 1. It was Terry Phelan's little nudge with the arm that gave them a penalty. Watch Phelan himself, not in any mood to complain to the referee. John Sheridan stepped up to claim his first of the match in what were atrocious conditions at Hillsborough. He got a second 10 minutes later when Hans Sagers failed to gather Roland Nielsen's cross. Sheridan was first there. It finished 2-0 Wednesday.
An incredible opening 26 minutes at Highbury. First, Robert Varshika gave Everton an early lead. Then, just moments later, Ian Wright scored the first of 4 he was to notch this afternoon. Then, with Everton looking for an offside decision, Anders Limpar, whose corner provided the first, gave Ian Wright the second, 2-1. We're only 15 minutes old and Everton then drew themselves level again. Kevin Sheedy in space, finding Mo Johnston in even more. But a disaster in the Everton defence allowed Limpar to find Wright again, and that combination gave Arsenal's 3rd goal. Ian Wright added the 4th, 4-2 the final score.
The best you can say about Oldham's current form is inconsistent. Richard Jobson adjudged to have handled on a day of arguable penalty decisions. Dennis Wise made no mistake with 5 minutes gone. Then enter Clive Allen, free from Manchester City's shackles, set up by Wise. No shackles in sight from the Oldham defence, 2-0. Rick Holden honours an early Joe Royle substitute. His cross flicked by Ritchie to Marshall, who put them back in contention. Now Wise's corners are usually pinpoint. This one pointed to Paul Elliott's head. He got above Oldham's defence, and that was 3-1. But back came Oldham, and back came Marshall. It was Graham Sharp's little bit of handiwork that set him up. Just a little flick, guided past Besant for 3-2. But then Oldham's defence was caught out again when Earl Barrett played Graham Stewart onside. Clive Allen then cleverly lost Barrett to get his second and Chelsea's fourth, and 4-2 it finished.
Should be a bit of time added on here because of the stoppages. But Queen's Park Rangers are chasing now because they can see another valuable away point. Might be more here as Wegerle breaks. He finds Wilkins. There's space here for Bailey. Can he kill it off in injury time? He's in the back of the net. Queen's Park Rangers have produced a winner in time added on from Dennis Bailey.
It was a couple of disputed refereeing decisions that cost Sheffield United dear at Upton Park. Captain Brian Gale had been sent off before Brian Dean put his side ahead with a neat header. West Ham pulled one back though with just 2 minutes left. Kenny Brown adjudged to have been fouled. Certainly looked a bit harsh, but Julian Dix did need a second invitation on his first game back after 14 months.
Defences were on top at the City Ground, and McClelland and White both gained praise for Leeds, but Forest nearly won it with Nigel Clough missing the target by inches.
With Eric Young suspended, Crystal Palace's defence was even more vulnerable than usual. Although it seemed a communication breakdown was the main issue for Tottenham's opener, the only man Paul Walsh had to beat to head in was his teammate Paul Stewart. Walsh putting Spurs in front after a quarter of an hour. Stewart, at 5'11", a full 4 inches taller than his teammate, might wonder how he missed out on the goal for himself. All about timing, Paul. Gary Lineker celebrating in shot there, and it's good to see him back in action. The England striker continues to maintain a vigil at the bedside of his seriously ill son George, but is now able to take some brief time away from hospital to return to work. Classic bit of centre-forward play this, for number 2. Lineker spun away from Gareth Southgate to create the space for himself before finishing ruthlessly. Spurs actually scored all 3 of the afternoon's goals. Terry Fenwick, who'd set up the first of the day, inadvertently scored the last. A one-time Palace defender in the wrong place at the wrong time after Mark Bright had been denied. Both Palace and Spurs reached Christmas in mid-table.